All right. Good afternoon. It's great to be back in Bloomington, back in McLean County. I'm here both touring schools, meeting with small business owners, meeting with some elected officials, talking about our challenges as a state, giving an update to some of the local residents on how we're going to get a truly balanced budget, and most importantly, how we're going to restore the long-term economic growth in the state. We have fewer jobs in the state of Illinois today than we had back in 1999. 16 years and fewer jobs. If we don't change that, none of our other problems are going to be fixed. And what we're advocating with the General Assembly is let's not just raise taxes in a massive scale to get a balanced budget. Let's put in pro-growth, pro-confidence creating policies so the business community, employers will come to Illinois and they'll have confidence in our government. Confidence through term limits and redistricting reform, confidence through pension reform, confidence through workers' comp and tort reform, and very importantly, getting a handle on our property taxes, because they're the highest in America, through funding our schools more from the state level and giving local control on contracting, bidding, and bargaining so we can get a handle on the costs and keep our property taxes reasonable. That's the message we're spreading today. Questions?
Governor, you mentioned that you believe we'll have a budget by sometime in mid-January. Why do you believe that, and why not sooner?
Well, we're pushing 7 days a week. I'm meeting with members of the General Assembly almost every day, up and down the members, both sides of the aisle. I've been meeting with Speaker Madigan pretty regularly in recent weeks. In fact, we're meeting again once or twice this week. President Cullerton as well, not quite as frequently as with the Speaker, but pretty often. I'm also negotiating with Mayor Emanuel because the city of Chicago is in, what's a nice word for it, deep yogurt, and they need some help. And I've said we're not going to do some sort of massive bailout of Chicago, but we can do some things to help them structure reform if the mayor will help us get the state structuring reforms that we need. Okay. Those negotiations are going fairly well. The reason I think we'll probably get something, I'd like it done now. Frankly, we should have had a budget with compromises done last June. The reason I think in the next 60, 90 days it'll happen is because Chicago needs the help. They're running out of money. And after January 1st, it only needs a simple majority vote in legislature to get anything done. Right now it needs a super majority. That's harder to put that many people on tough votes. That's the reason I'm cautiously optimistic maybe in January we'll get something done.
Governor, you've been clear on the help that Chicago needs, but the mayor seems to be setting this up for if cuts have to happen at schools, that it's Springfield's fault. It's the dysfunction and that you're part of that problem.
Let's see, what can I say to that? So Chicago Public Schools has been running unbalanced budgets for decades. This is not a recent problem, and this was not a problem created by the state. And Chicago has been responsible for its own teacher's pension for 100 years. So to somehow say, wow, all of a sudden we got a crisis and Springfield caused it or Springfield isn't doing their fair, that's just wrong. That's just not an accurate view.
Are you committed in any way to stopping the layoffs of any teachers in Chicago public schools before that February 1st?
Well, I am a big advocate for high quality education for all children. I have actually been personally, my wife and I, we've donated many millions of dollars of our own money to try to improve public education in Chicago, in supporting Chicago teachers and teacher training and principal development. I'm a big advocate for public education quality in every community, including Chicago. I would be extraordinarily upset if any teacher lost his or her job because of a budget problem right now, but I'll also be crystal clear that we at the state level are not going to take action to help Chicago if Chicago refuses to help the state. Chicago is part of the state. It's not a one-way relationship, it's a two-way partnership. I work for every community in the state. I work for the people of Chicago, but I work for the people of Bloomington too, and Peoria too, and Springfield too, and Carbondale too, and I want this to be a two-way partnership.
Governor Rauner, you mentioned some nibbles on the Mitsubishi property. How many people have expressed interest that you're aware of?
Well, I don't want to get into specific numbers. The search for a buyer for that plan is ongoing. We've had good negotiations with a number of potential buyers, but so far we haven't had success, and I don't want to promise anything. I'm very upset because that's an incredible asset for the state of Illinois and for the people of McLean County. And there's good careers there. We want people to keep their careers there, but right now we don't have a buyer, and I don't know if we will have one.
Governor, late last week, CTU President Karen Lewis was at a fundraiser or an event, with President Cullerton, where she called you a sociopath and said that you like to hurt people. And how do you respond to that?
Yeah, I don't know how I can say it. I've just tried to work hard to help people my whole life, and that's what I'm doing as governor, and that's what I did for years, trying to help teachers in Chicago and principals in Chicago. And, in politics, rhetoric sometimes gets overheated and impolite, and all you can do is ignore it.
Last
Governor,
question.
follow-up, please, on the Mitsubishi question.
Uh-huh.
Which regulations are making people hesitant to acquire that property?
Well, I don't know if it would be right for me to say why people are hesitant. You can ask some of the folks here have pretty strong opinions, and they started to share them a little bit. We have a problem in Illinois that I touched on. We have fewer jobs today than we had 16 years ago, and we are bleeding our manufacturing base in Illinois at a fast pace. And it's not only the Mitsubishi plant. Granite City Steel, struggling. Mondelez, moving factory work elsewhere. We have many, many companies that have good paying manufacturing jobs, and they've been leaving Illinois this year. Thousands of manufacturing jobs are announced to be lose this year, and we've lost hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs over the last 10 years. This is not a recent phenomenon, and it's our regulations and our taxes. Our property taxes are too high. Our corporate income taxes are not competitive, but workers' comp, tort system, and just the regulatory burden and the red tape, punishing for businesses, especially for manufacturing firms. That's what we got to change.
Governor, are you
All right,
Thanks very much,
guys.
everybody.
Illinois State University. Could you answer a question for students? From local students?
Hey, Jay, bring this back with you.
Gotcha.
I do not. I'm so sorry. I forgot to bring them with me.
I'm just going to give you mine.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.